32 gigs of RAM, going for triple, if not more, than what it cost a year ago. And then you have the 5090 going for used car money, and it is now officially cheaper to buy a pre-built PC than to build the same thing yourself in many cases. Oh, also, Nvidia just quietly stopped counting gaming as its own business. So PC building is dying, right? Here's what happens with a video like this. You run that montage that I just played for you, and you see 4 real numbers, and you reach a somewhat obvious conclusion that the hobby that we know and love is over. We should pack it up because it was fun while it lasted. Now, here's the thing. I think that conclusion is actually wrong. The numbers are not. The numbers are very, very real, and I'm going to show you every single one of them. But what I'm talking about more than anything is the conclusion. Now, before I go further, you should probably know something because it changes how you should listen to the rest of this entire video. I own a pre-built PC company, and it's called Meta PCs. So when I tell you that building your own machine is in trouble, you're listening to a guy that sells the alternative. So you should probably weigh that. In fact, I want you to. But here's the part that you may not expect. It doesn't make my answer what you think it's going to be. The real question here isn't, is PC building dead? It's actually an entirely different question, and almost nobody is asking it. So let's get into it. Now, I want to start by doing something a little different. I want to argue against myself, because if you're going to say that building is fine, you have to first admit how bad it actually looks. And it looks pretty bad. I'm not sure if you've been around the internet lately. We're going to start with memory, because memory is where this gets stupid, as most of you guys know. You've got DRAM prices that have jumped around 90% in the first 3 months of this year alone, which is the biggest quarterly jump on record. And here's what that looks like on an actual shelf, as you may have seen. 32 gig kit of DDR5, that's the memory that you would actually build with today, ran about $100 a year and a half ago. Now, depending on the kit, and frankly, depending on the day of the week, you're looking at 250 to 400, and really it's way closer to 400 plus. So it tripled and then some. That's the kit from the intro in this video. And if you price that kit this week and you catch a very small dip in pricing, I would probably not get excited, because that ends up being more of a correction versus being relief. Because get this, it's not done. We have TrendForce that is projecting another 58 to 63% jump in DRAM contract prices this quarter. NAND, that's the stuff that your SSD is made of, it's another 70 to 75%. Now, I see this every week, by the way, because buying components is, as you may imagine, a pretty big part of running a PC company. I'm looking at supplier invoices the way that other people, I don't know, check the weather. And the memory line on those invoices has not stopped climbing this year, and frankly, I don't expect it to. PC Gamer summed up the mood maybe better than I can. They called the memory crisis, quote, utterly heartbreaking for our hobby. This is a hardware publication, not TMZ, not a drama site, not a dramatic site. Now, let's talk about GPUs, because Nvidia and AMD both raised MSRPs this year, somewhere between 10 and 20% depending on the card. And that is on top of the hikes that they already pushed through last year. And the 5090 sticker price, $2,000, has been selling on the street for around $3,600. That's not 10% over. That is nearly double the sticker. And you can't even escape the memory problem by buying a graphics card instead, because, well, guess what? Memory is now more than 80% of the graphics card's bill of materials. So you get the exact same squeeze. You just can't escape it. It's just in a different aisle. So if your entire reason for building a PC was it's the cheap way to get a good machine, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. That reason is gone. It has never made less sense to build for savings than it does right now. Full stop. And the memory part of that, the part that is doing the most damage to us, is not even a glitch or, quote, bad weather, whatever you want to call it. Memory didn't just climb this year, it freaking exploded. And there's a reason, and guess what? It has actual names attached to it, as I'm sure you've heard, and it's probably the most infuriating thing about making this video, which we're going to talk about next. So why memory? Why that one component and why not others? GPUs going up, it's almost background noise. GPUs, dude, they always find a way to go up. So what happened to memory is kind of a different thing entirely, and it didn't happen by accident. Somebody made it happen, and you already know the headline. You already know it. AI did it. And technically, yeah, that's Correct. But the whole AI did it is kind of the lazy version, and the lazy version lets the people who actually did it walk away clean. So here's the real version, because there are two hands on this one, not one. On hand one, we've got October 2025. That's when our boy Sam Altman flies to Seoul and signs a letter of intent with Samsung and SK Hynix. Those are, for those of you that don't know, two of the largest memory makers on earth. The number in those letters was 900,000 wafers a month. Now, analysts, they do what analysts do best, ran that against the global output of wafers and landed on about 40% of the planet's supply. And here's the thing that nobody's really talking about. A letter of intent, by the way, is not a contract. It carries no obligation to buy a single chip. It is functionally a very, very famous man saying, I would like a lot of memory, probably. That's what that document is. That maybe is what your RAM price is reacting to. So that's hand one. That's hand one. And if you guys already know this, I'm sorry. I'm going to go over it again because it deserves repeating. Altman fired the starting gun, but a starting gun doesn't set the price. Somebody has to decide what to do with it. And that brings us to hand two, right here, hand two. And that's the part that actually matters to you and me. Hand two is the memory makers. Samsung, SK Hynix, Micron. For about a decade, these companies got financially punished for one very specific sin over the past decade: making too much memory. When they made too much memory, they'd flood the market and then prices would collapse. And then, as a result of that, they would post billions of dollars in losses. And as you may imagine, they didn't like that. In fact, they hated it, and they learned from that. So when Altman's letter landed, these guys didn't panic. They didn't panic about this at all. They saw a door open. So guess what? They pivoted hard into HBM. By the way, that's the memory that goes into AI chips, because HBM earns them several times the revenue per wafer than this gaming RAM that's sitting in my system does. They held consumer supply tight on purpose. They started writing shorter contracts so that the pricing power stays on their side of the table. And guess what? Ladies and gentlemen, it worked. Samsung and SK Hynix are now posting operating margins north of 70% on memory. Between them, in a single quarter, they cleared something like $60 billion in profit. Their margins, believe it or not, are beating Nvidia's. They're beating TSMC's. These are definitely not the numbers of a company that is in crisis. Those are the best numbers that these companies have ever had. They have Goldman Sachs calling 2026 the worst memory undersupply in over 15 years. Back to that word. I'm going to say it again carefully. Not we ran out and not enough is being made, because, well, guess what? Making more would be pretty bad for the margin. Then, as we all know, Micron shut down Crucial, 29 years, consumer memory brand. A lot of you might have a stick of it in your machine right now. They closed that down so that all that capacity could go to data center customers instead. You guys know the story. And here's the cynical masterstroke. Stay with me on this one. Even if Altman never buys those chips, and even if Stargate gets scaled back, and by March, that was already happening, the makers still win. They repriced the entire market off of that maybe. The demand could literally evaporate tomorrow. The price floor does not evaporate. So the next time that somebody tells you that building is dying because of, quote, market forces, we should probably be precise about what that means. Again, this is not the weather. It was a handshake in Seoul, and 3 companies looked at that handshake and decided that your hobby was worth more to them as margin than as an actual market. Now, there's a super easy version of this video, and I want to deal with it super fast so we can get to the real one. Now, for the first time since I can remember, maybe COVID actually, it's cheaper to buy a pre-built gaming PC than to build the same machine yourself. A build that should land under $1,000, which, by the way, a lot of these entry-level builds are getting really affected by RAM pricing. Well, guess what? That now pushes $1,200 and up, and the pre-built sitting next to it could actually come in lower. Now, the reason is boring, and it's real. Those big pre-built makers, they have components that maybe they bought before the spike, or maybe they've just bought in bulk and they've got warehouses of RAM that maybe they paid an earlier price for. You ordering a single kit off the shelf today, guess what? You haven't been priced in for anything. You're eating today's food. So easy video, right? Don't build, just buy a pre-built. Coming from the pre-built guy. Yeah, sure. Let's roll credits. Easy, simple. We're done. Video over. Except guess what? That's not actually the takeaway. And I'm not going to pretend that it is, because the pre-builts that are winning that price war are typically budget boxes. Those are mass-produced, lowest bidder parts, and the cheapest possible build that wears the right sticker. They win on price because price is the whole strategy. Now, a well-built pre-built is a different animal, or a custom build even. It costs more, the same way that a well-built anything costs more. Budget box, guess what? Is still a real option, and I'm not knocking it, but it tells you nothing about whether building is dying. It tells you that a warehouse got a good deal on some components. So I'm leaving the buy versus build thing right there. That's the surface argument. The interesting question is actually the one that sits underneath it, and that's what I want to talk about for the rest of the video. And one quick thing, since we've spent a good chunk of this video establishing that everything in this hobby costs way more than it should, if your last build costs more than your first car, you and I should probably know each other. The subscribe button is sitting right there. It costs you nothing, which at this point might be the best deal in PC hardware. How'd I do? Did I sell subscribe well enough? Do it if you want to. Don't if you don't. That's fine. All right, let's get back to it, because everything that I've said so far points one direction, and I think you know where I'm going with this, and I'm about to turn the whole thing around. Here's what the death of PC building crowd is missing. Look at the April 2026 Steam hardware survey. The single most popular GPU in the world right now is still the RTX 3060. It's number one, right around 4% of every gaming PC on Steam. 50 series, those new cards, adoption, still a little bit slow. 8 gigs of VRAM is still the most common at nearly 27%. And 1080p is still the most common resolution, which is not a holdout or a niche. More than half of everyone on Steam still rocking it. Now, everyone reads that survey as decline. I've seen it before. Old cards and old resolutions must mean that nobody's moving on. And I read it the exact opposite way. Turns out people didn't stop gaming. The survey is the count of active gaming PCs, and it's enormous, and it's not shrinking. People didn't stop building. Guess what? People stopped upgrading. That's the whole thing. That's the distinction that the Doom take skips right over. The 3060 isn't number one because building is dead. It's number one because the people who own one looked at things like, I don't know, 5090s going for $3,600 and made the correct decision to keep what they have. It's not a dying hobby. It's a hobby full of people that, I don't know, it can do math. So here's the split. There were always two kinds of PC builders, right? There's the builder who built to save money, the necessity builder, the person who DIY stuff is a spreadsheet decision. And then there's the builder who builds because they love the thing. They love the craft of it. The cable management nobody's ever gonna see. The feeling of hitting the power button on something that you made. Well, guess what? The necessity builder is leaving because the math has pretty much chased them off, and the math is super real. I just spent the first third of this video proving it to you. Now, the craft builder is not really going anywhere because their reason to build was never the price. And you can't price out a reason that was never about price, if that makes sense. And then there's a group that the build or die crowd refuses to even count. The people who buy a pre-built on purpose, not because they ran the math on it, not because they couldn't figure out what RAM slots to use, because you know what? Let's be real. Some of us are old now. We've got kids. We've got jobs that already burned through the part of the brain that used to enjoy troubleshooting at midnight. And you know what? Sometimes it's just nice to plug a thing in and have it work and have one number to call if it doesn't. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. I don't care what the top reply on Reddit tells you. Wanting your hobby to occasionally just be easy doesn't revoke your card. That isn't building dying. That's building getting a little bit older. The same as the rest of us. I've got gray in my beard. Look at me. Building as a money saver is dying. Building as a thing that you love is decoupling from price entirely. And I feel like it's going to be completely fine. I hope, at least. Which brings me to the cut from the intro on this video that I think is the most important one, and it's the one that nobody has really talked about. This just in, Nvidia stopped counting gaming. I mean that literally. The last time that Nvidia reported gaming as its own standalone revenue line was Q4 of last year, of 2025. $3.7 billion, and it was one clean row. They called it gaming. It was labeled right there. Now, starting in Q1 of this year, most recent report just came out last week. Guess what? That row is gone. Gaming GPU revenue is now folded into a new segment that Nvidia is calling edge computing. It shares that line with things like robotics, automotive, car stuff, game consoles, AI base stations, cell towers. Let's think about it. Nvidia is a company that gamers built. GeForce is the reason that company has the brand that it has.
All of this with AI is the house that GeForce built. GeForce enabled AI to reach the masses.
And gaming no longer gets its own row in the financials. It got merged into a folder with robot arms. You can't make this up. And here's how small that folder is to them now. That entire edge computing segment, gaming included, adds up to under 8% of Nvidia's revenue. The business gamers built is now essentially a rounding error next to all of that AI data center money. It's not an accident of accounting. It's quite literally a company that is telling you in the most polite way, corporate languagey way possible, where its attention has been diverted to. And the replacement that they're selling you, by the way, is the AI PC. I want to actually explain what it is because the marketing worked pretty hard to keep this thing vague. So your computer has a CPU, right? Everyone knows that. The brain of the PC, that's what we've all learned. It does a little bit of everything. It has a GPU, the graphics muscle, that's what renders your game. Now, an AI PC adds a third chip, the NPU, neural processing unit, and its entire job is running AI math. I'm talking like the chatbot stuff, live captions, image generation, the Windows co-pilot features that we all know and love, all of it running on the machine in front of you instead of on its own server somewhere. That's the product, a third chip for AI. Now, here's why the industry was like so up in arms about that. They screamed about it so loudly. PC sales had been flat for years. Almost everyone already owns a computer that is, quote, good enough in one way or another. So the industry needed a reason for 1 billion people to go buy a new one. The way that Windows 95 was a reason, or the way that things like SSDs were a reason. The AI PC was supposed to be that reason. The thing that makes your current PC feel old. And they even stamped a number on the box. They threw the TOPS number on there. Trillions of operations per second. And at CES this year was wall to wall, like 50 plus top stickers. And then nobody bought one for that reason. Dell basically admitted it at CES. There was no upgrade super cycle. Nobody came. We got Copilot Plus, we got AI Ready, we got a fresh AI sticker on every shelf, and all of them were names for the same shrug. The MPU makes effectively no difference in the games that you actually play, and it rides on a $200 to $400 premium. There's a bunch of commentators and people online who are calling it Megahertz Race 2.0, which is like a bigger number on the box that doesn't change your life. So here's the pivot, and it's the entire point of this video. The industry walking away from gaming is not the same thing as gaming or PC building dying. It's not the same. Those are two completely different events, and everybody keeps gluing them together. We have the suits who have reallocated the wafers, the suits who have merged the revenue lines and chased the AI money. And look, listen, I run a company. I'm not even mad at the spreadsheet logic of the whole thing, but the suits stopped counting you. You didn't stop though. So to go back to the intro, every number in it was real. RAM tripled in a year, if not quadrupled. The 5090 price of a car, pre-builts beating builds, Nvidia deleting, the gaming row on financials, all of that we've addressed. It's all true, but it doesn't add up to the conclusion that you think it does. Building to save money is dying. Anybody who tells you otherwise in 2026 is selling you something. And yes, I'm aware of who's talking. Building because you love it is not dying. It's just shedding the people who were only ever here for the discount, and it's left with people who were here for the thing itself. The industry walked away from gamers. Gamers did not walk away. So I want to know which one you are, and be honest with me in the comments. Were you a necessity builder? Are you here for the math and the math finally lost you? Are you the craft builder, the one who is just going to build anyway, looking at a RAM kit that tripled in a year and doing the mental gymnastics of trying to buy this thing anyway? Or did you just buy a pre-built, make peace with it, and you sleep just fine? No wrong answer. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.